You tuned in to iLLANOiZE Radio, Chicago's most valuable radio show. I'm your host, Biko, alongside Pretty Ride and Illinois Jones. And as always, we bring you all the illest guests from around the city and globe. And today, we got the homie, Brian Stinson, $1 million voice in the building.
So I gotta thank all of you in this room, man, for making this happen. Seriously, man. Like I'm honored. I want to thank everybody on social media for showing the love, man. Like it's so different to be behind the mic and being interviewed rather than interviewing people. So this should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, you are always doing the interviewing.
Hey, look, right? I'm just amazed because he sound just how like he sound on radio. I don't know if I sound how I sound on radio. You know what I mean? I don't know if people say, yo, you sound just how you sound on radio. This guy actually sound like that. Like he gets the voice. His voice is his voice. Like he don't need no compression, no EQ, no filters, no nothing. His voice is his voice. You get me? Goddammit. That's what you call born to do radio.
Yeah.
You was born to do voiceovers.
Man,
period.
Bruh, you've been in the game for some time. We're gonna talk about that. But I too want to thank you. Because my brother, a long while ago, I sat down in your seat.
Back in Dreadhead days.
Exactly. I had, we was at WIIT, and I'll never forget when you encouraged me to do radio. And that changed my life, my brother. So definitely, I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Well, man, look, I saw tremendous talent in the studio, man. And the fun thing about Fusion that a lot of people don't know is the opportunities that we provide for not just artists, but just for people in general. Just take over the radio show. And people look at me like, what? I ain't no radio show host. What you mean? I can do your job for the whole show. And I'm like, yeah, like no pressure. Just go on there and be you. And I heard the energy. We actually just recently on the Sunday show here replayed the interview, and that was back in 2015. It was so crazy how the anniversary fell on the same day that I'm on here. It was so crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look, the
that
way
is
the
called
world works.
divine timing.
I wish I could have heard that because I think that's the only interview I haven't heard.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to replay it
We would
again.
love to hear a young, not immature, but like, not immature.
No,
but like,
that nigga was very immature back then.
I didn't mean immature in a bad way, but I'm saying like, Biko, you're mature.
No,
like I would
wild.
say you're a mature Biko now. Like you've matured, you've grown. So I would love to see I don't know.
He got 2 kids now.
Hear a young Biko.
He grown man. Back then though,
he
wanted to be a porn star. He'll tell you that in a heartbeat.
Wait, still do.
Look, what you want to be? If you want to be what you do, I would have been a porn star.
You answered that in the interview for me?
What, nigga?
I probably have.
No, I got the clip. Look,
Okay, I have.
Go through my Windy City archives, okay?
As you see, I was a little reckless, so you were right.
I wanted to be a porn star.
But look, this ain't about me. This is about Flying B, okay? Now, Flying B, for those that don't know, that's another name you go by as well.
Flying B?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that. Like, the real story behind it is y'all won't believe like how this journey started.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, that's why I want to let's talk about the journey, man.
Man, I was fortunate to go to school and high school with a lot of talented individuals. Like when I tell you Lupe Fiasco, Willie Taylor, better known as Will from Day 26. You had Antoine Randall, who went on to play in the NFL, Napoleon Harris. I mean, the list goes on. And I just wanted to do something to try to help the culture. And so, like, this sounds funny hearing my voice, but this sounds a lot like, really? But I honestly didn't know this was what I was supposed to be doing. Like, I just took this as an elective in high school my junior year, and my instructor saw something that I didn't even know that I had. And so...
What was that?
That was the energy, the gift, the passion to be able to cultivate like a radio show. And so he was like, man, you should really consider doing this as a career. And I'm like, what? You know what I mean? And I decided to take him up on it. And there was a class at Columbia they had called the High School Institute where you could take courses. It was accelerated, instead of being 16 weeks, it was 8 weeks. And, took an intro class and then came back my senior year and just ultimately decided that Columbia College Chicago would be where I would attend.
So you went to Columbia, which means, are you still paying on that Columbia degree?
No, actually I'm not. Actually,
Whoa!
God bless.
Up here. I want to give you a high five.
You know how expensive Columbia could be.
I saw a tab because I tried to go there.
Right.
Because I went through the Summer Bridge program. Mm-hmm. And that thing said 83, and I was like,
Not for me.
I ain't selling Coke. Them Coke prices, I'm gonna go to KCC.
You funny. Oh my God. Look, y'all, we got Flying B, Brian Stinson, Fusion Radio in the building. We're going to jump into a quick music break. Make sure to check out the iLLANOiZE playlist in which we provide you with the latest tracks we play live on our show. Head over to Spotify and search iLLANOiZE Radio to follow our playlist, as well as follow our podcast. Now let's get back to the show.
Yo, what up? It's your girl, Pretty Riot, and I'm sitting pretty, starting riots here on iLLANOiZE Radio with my brothers, Biko and Illinois Jones. Right before the break, we were chopping it up with Brian Stinson. So, okay, Biko kind of threw me off when he was calling you Flying B, because I'm like, who is that? So I'm really interested, like Flying B, like that's an interesting name off back, but we're not gonna get into that. How did you go from Flying B to Brian Stinson? Like, what made you actually, start going by your government name? Because most people don't want people to know their government names.
Actually, it was the guest. The guest started calling me by my first and last name. Like, honestly, the guest, within the last, 2 years of doing Fusion, that's what happened, is they knew me as Brian Stinson. Or, as some people say, they get excited when they mention me in their different posts is, man, did y'all see at Fusion Radio 08 joined live? You know what I'm saying? And that's the funniest thing. Like at Fusion Radio 08,
they was
like
saying your whole ass. Damn.
So where did the Flying B come from?
I had to come up back in high school with a name, for the class that I was taking and everything, and it was actually High Flying B. Dealing with high school.
Okay.
And so when I left high school, I became Flying B. And what's the interesting thing is when I went to college is that before I could even do a hip hop show, I had to do a dance, house, and techno show on the station. I was the afternoon drive person, and then I was the morning show person the next day. Mm-hmm. So Monday from 3 to 7, I was afternoons, and then Tuesday morning, I was the morning drive person. Mm-hmm. And while I know some house music, like the stuff they were playing, I didn't have no idea. So what I would do is, and this is where one of the funny moments come in, is I would do something called creative energy, where they would play songs that didn't have lyrics, that anything that came to my mind, I would literally on the air, do it. Anything lyrically that would come to my mind, I would do it over the song.
So you was like an MC, like the New Orleans bounce music, it'd be bum, 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 bum. You be like, what's up? Say your name. Where you from? What's your game? How you doing? What's up? You're a clever guy.
Yeah.
You're a clever guy.
So I have this thing called theater of the mind, where radio works for me because my theater of the mind, I can look at this wall and see something else other than what's on this wall.
Mm-hmm. And you see an audience when you're talking behind that mic, pretty much.
Exactly. And so it started there and everything. And what would be funny is, and I had to wear this hat to represent, my college radio station, because someone that had a tremendous impact, Jim Mitchum, the general manager of the station when I first started, was a tremendous person, and he passed a few years ago and everything. And, it was a tremendous loss for the radio department, but, he was someone that would allow me to be me. Mm-hmm. I literally grew with the audience. I told the audience that my goal was to not only learn the music, but us have fun together. And that's exactly what happened, is the creative energy thing. We used to have this thing where the next host that would come up after the morning show, we would do something. And it's coming to me, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Mm-hmm. So her name was Jackie. And when Jackie would come up next, the whole morning show would be hype. And they'd kick it to me, and we'd be like, Jackie, to the left, Jackie, to the right, Jackie, up next.
like hot potato.
Yeah, that's dope. That's a dope way to bring in the next, host.
Cool.
Right.
It's turned.
On the real, bring me in.
Right, bring me in.
It's memorable because I'll be on the other end of the car. Jackie! To the left. Jackie! To the right. Hey, go on out
Don't let my
Jackie.
name be Jackie.
Shout out to Jackie.
Now, host wise, you also you hosted a house and techno show.
Right.
Now, do you feel a lot of upcoming talent, like personalities, miss out on opportunities because they don't really want to take different lanes to, get in the radio industry?
Well, I think first, before I answer that, is I was forced to, because before you could even have what was called a specialty show, you had to actually do what was called regular format. Regular format back then, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. was dance, house, and techno. It's now top 40. They made that change within the last 5 years. Diversify yourself is something that I absolutely encourage, because it allows you not to be stagnant in one format. It's amazing how, honestly, my delivery has honestly changed. Of course, since then, doing dance, house, and techno, you're a lot more higher, than I am now, as far as, the vocal output.
Speaking on the change, and I would like to ask you, since you've been doing it, and I can hear the passion that you have for radio. I would like to know, with like the changes of radio, and knowing that you have a passion for it, how do you feel about the changes that's happening with radio when the creativity of radio is not the same?
I feel like a lot of the creativity, quote unquote, is sort of structured in time. Because, like, keep in mind, you have commercial blocks, and when you look at a commercial block, like, let's say you're someone like a Hot Rod, and you have 9 minutes of commercials, and that's total 18 minutes of commercials for the total hour, because you got 2 breaks and everything, and you're trying to give people a music flow and all that stuff. Sometimes, like, your creativity has to somewhat taper down for you to be able to have the flow. And I think sometimes what happens, I think what you see is more or less the people that have more freedom are the morning shows, that like syndicated morning shows, like the Ricky Smileys, the Breakfast Clubs, those type of shows have the freedom to be more creative and everything, because that's the driving part. Whereas when you start to get to other day parts, they're more music intensive.
Now, with having freedom, having freedom of creativity, is that something that led you to college radio? Like, why did you specifically, go to college radio format?
Honestly, like I said, it's still, amazing that, I'm sitting on 20 years. Honestly, I thought about it earlier.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, man.
Triple.
Been doing this. Is that what led me, honestly, to do fusion at IIT is the void. There was a void there for about a year. A lot of people don't know that, someone that, like I said, I tremendously respect, Lupe Fiasco, being one of my passions for doing radio and everything, is that once he moved on to other things outside of IIT, people forgot that he actually had an F&F hour.
Really?
IIT. Yeah.
I didn't even
on
wait.
Mondays.
Let me make sure I reheard that.
Hold
right.
on. Lupe had a radio show.
Lupe had a radio show.
Before Kick Push or after Kick Push?
It sound like before.
It sounded like before.
Oh,
yeah.
before.
Oh.
Before, because I came in 2008 and he was there in
Shit, I
2007.
was like in 7th grade.
I was a senior in high school. I was a senior in high
I still
school.
had to ask my mama to buy my CDs.
Ooh.
CDs was still around during that time.
On the real.
Yeah.
2007.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you came in behind Lupe.
2008, we started Fusion Radio. And the funny thing is that, like, over there, of course, that's a college station / community station. And so normally if you're like what I'm considered community, it's Monday through Friday you have a slot. But the program director felt like I should be on Saturdays. And he said, man, look, I want to put you on Saturdays because honestly, we don't have any hip hop shows on this station. And we feel like there's something that you can do special. And looking back on it and everything, like, I had done a Saturday show back in when I was at Columbia, but I hadn't done one on that station. And like the memories, if I could tell you guys the memories, like one of the memories that stands pat with me, and this is like tremendously funny, is when we had one artist that came. Her name was Izzy Brinks, and the person she brought with her had a cat costume on. And everyone in the studio was trying to figure out, like, why does she have this person with the cat costume? And so I was going to do a whole, like, interaction with the cat. That's with the
Do the
person.
meow,
Right.
meow.
He's gonna do the whole thing. And so, they didn't want to do it, but like the thing that was sort of crazy is no one had ever did that before. And I remember telling this story on the air, and people think I was crazy, but it really had happened.
Pretty rad, a cat lover. She was like, "Oh,
Yeah, I would have been like, if I walk in the studio and someone is sitting here in a cat suit,
They
I'm
freaky
like,
dicky.
yeah, that might throw me off. Like my cat's like this big, you in
Stormy.
a cat suit like this big, like.
Yeah, that's a human cat too.
And that's a human cat. Like it
Why
ain't
let them
even.
cats outside today?"
Oh, brother.
yeah, ain't lying. Look,
Shout
a
out
lot
to
of 9
Stormy.
lives
Shout
out
out
there.
to my
A lot
dog.
of cats that need purr.
Little purr,
Big purr. Big purr in my big purr in my Boom Shiesty voice.
The iLLANOiZE app is available now on Apple and Google Play Store. Download the app, get the latest news, stream our podcasts, watch interviews, and listen to iLLANOiZE Radio live. Download the app right now.
Yo, what's good? It's the one and only iLLANOiZE Jones, and right now you're tuned into the dopest thing that hit the streets since crack cocaine, iLLANOiZE Radio. And I got my partner up in here, the $1 million voice. I gave him that name myself, you hear me? Because his voice is worth $1 million
Yes,
more.
sir.
You hear me? Brian Stinson in the building. What's poppin', Slime?
Man, this time is flying, man.
It
It
is.
seems like we just sat down.
It do, right?
Yeah, man, this time is like really flying, man. It's like it's on speed.
I couldn't wait to meet you, dog.
Man,
I
look,
wanted to
it's
see
a
if the
pleasure.
voice was. I wanted to see if he was like catfishing his voice fishing. But
Voice
no,
fishing.
like I'm really astounded because I just love your voice. Like
I appreciate
Jones
it.
said it earlier. You definitely give voiceover vibes, like huge voiceover vibes. So like, have you ever thought about doing that?
Absolutely.
Like I want to see you
absolutely.
in a like not see you, but hear your voice
Right.
in like a commercial.
That he
or,
can
like,
sell insurance like for State
anything,
Farm.
like honestly, anything though. You could be selling me goddamn toilet paper. I don't know, but I would probably buy it if it sound like what your
quick
voice
pick
sound
you
like
up.
telling me to buy toilet paper. I don't know.
So you guys want to hear something funny that like this fits right on in with what you're saying is my day job, or one of them, because I work 7
he
days a week.
said, "Oh, word."
Is I do the overnight shift for a gospel / broker station. And so I'm the overnight board op / assistant production director /
It's just slash every damn thing.
And one of my challenges for me that is to do commercials when I'm looking outside and it's dark at 2 a.m. And to have the energy like I'm here during the day at 10 a.m. And so, like, I get some of the toughest commercials where it's like, I'll get a client that'll give me a commercial where it's like Reverend, Doctor, Apostle, somebody like that.
Ooh, the names.
Right. And the names are like really, and it has to be fluid. And then you got to repeat, you got to email and you got to download this and do all that and all that stuff. And, at first I used to say,
I would have
to
got
myself-
fired.
At first, honestly, I used to say to myself, how did I get these commercials? And then what you just said, Pretty Riot, is people would hear me and it was like,
Making things sound
man,
good.
that sounds like something I actually would want to go to. You know what I mean? And everything. And so I literally get these conference commercials. I get some of everything to do at that time of the morning.
Do you consider yourself a salesman in a way?
In a way, yeah. Actually, I look at myself like, because like part of the job is, absolutely, with the clients and all that stuff, working with them to make whatever goals they have for their broadcast or for the commercial, making it happen. So yeah.
Yeah, make that sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to
absolutely.
make it sell, man. And just hearing you doing, so many things. You say you work 7 days a week.
Right. So let me break it down. Monday through Friday, I do an overnight shift, which we went over that. Saturday and Sunday, my day starts at 3 a.m. in the morning. My day
After you
starts
just did an overnight from Friday?
So how it goes is Sunday going into Monday is my Monday morning, and so on for the rest of the day. It's like
Okay,
people are
that
like
makes
confused
sense. That makes
as to how that happens. But yeah, my day actually started this morning at 3 a.m. So I drove from out south all the way to the northwest side, and I work with all type of different cultural backgrounds on the weekend. Like I don't speak Russian, I don't speak Croatian, but I work with clients, and it's just God's gift that allows me to understand and execute what they need for their broadcasts.
That is
Wow.
a lot.
You sound like you need a nap.
You're a hustler.
Bruh,
Sound like you need a nap.
Yeah, you
Okay,
do.
like I
Sound
should
like you
take
need
a
a
nap right here.
You know, and not to mention, of course, you know, to throw in there for those of you that's listening, I got to do this, and I got to thank all of you guys, honestly, for opening your door to me back in August, man. When things were in transition, a lot of people were like, "Man, what's going on with Fusion Radio on IIT?" And you know, I honestly have not been there since May 30th of last year. And there were people asking me while I was here, "Are you back in the studio yet?" You know what I mean? And due to COVID restrictions and some different things, the show is being done remotely. And there was a time where from May 30th all the way until February of this year, I wasn't on the air there. And then you guys came with the opportunity in August to be on this station on Sunday. And it really made me recalculate a lot of things, do things a lot differently, figure out a way how to, you know, spearhead a new movement. And then in March of this year, you know, the guy that you hear with the kickoff mix, he came to me and asked me to be a part of his station to kick off his lineup on Fridays. And so Fusion is now 3 days a week.
Yeah.
It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh, you lit.
Yeah,
You got the weekends
definitely-
on lock.
He definitely ain't get no damn sleep.
Right, you got the weekends on lock. baby, okay?
But that's dope though, man. Like for you to go from there to there, like what's one thing about radio? Like I know a lot of people move on. Even I had a point in my time when I was like,
yeah, you did.
I'm
Jones
a
thought he
bounce.
was
You
done.
quit.
I'm gone.
You quit.
Gone.
Yeah, you
Gone.
did. Mm-hmm.
What made you still stick? Because a lot of people was like, this is over with. This won't last. It's like newspaper. You know what I mean? What made you stick with it?
Having wonderful outlets like this, and I'm not just saying it just to be saying it, but honestly, you know, you guys have been kicking butt for a long time. You guys and so many others, you know, I don't want to slight any other platform, but, you know, there are so many people that are doing great things. And it's like remembering why I even got behind the microphone was the artists and entrepreneurs, as I say in a promo, is giving them shine. And that's what keeps me going, is the fact that so many of them, you know, or whatsoever, really be like, man, you know what I'm saying? I had a great time. I mean, I have a DJ that you guys hear at 4:30 on iLLANOiZE that, man, he's got other things going on. So I'm like, when he reached out to me about being on Fusion, I'm like, man, bro, you got to, and he was like, man, just the feeling of being on the show. Like, I love being on your show. Yeah. And so, you know, that, you know, adding DJ 2 Times, who, you know, was a part of Power 92, you know, and everything, and having DJ Malone, who I gave him his first opportunity to mix on FM radio. You know what I mean? Or whatsoever, like having that DJ Daz, who's joined us with the Chicago mix that you guys hear at the top of the second hour. Like, man, he's been wanting to be a part of the show. You know, we birthed that because I didn't want to, when we added him, deviate from the focus of Chicago. So I asked him, please, to focus on Chicago music.
Is it a high? Like I know I get a high off of giving people their first opportunity on radio. You know what I mean? Can you explain that feeling?
It's hard to explain, but the best way to say it is when you believe in someone and open up a door for them and people find out about them and they're now checking their social media. They're now, you know, if it's an artist, they're listening to their music. And then another outlet that maybe didn't give him a chance before said, hey, man, if that dude over there at Fusion gave him a chance, man, check out their interview and see their music added or see them link up. One thing I want to say is that a lot of you guys don't know that I really, really follow from a media standpoint some of everybody, not just in our city, but outside of our city. And I comprise a list, it's like a media kit list of radio shows. So iLLANOiZE Radio is on that list. Of course, the station, of course, Ill Sound Radio, et cetera, et cetera. Like, you guys don't know that when I'm doing interviews, I'm actually also passing on information about your radio shows to get behind you guys and support you guys.
I love that. It's like a little radio network.
Booklet.
Yeah,
got a
like
booklet too with all the
like a Rolodex of radio shows
outside of commercial radio.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And that's a huge thing. And Even with us speaking on, like, you giving opportunity on opportunity on opportunity, sometimes do you feel like that opportunity is taken for granted?
No, honestly, I don't, because, like, I have situations where with interviews that, like, they turn into family situations where I'm mentoring them and all that stuff. And so, like, it's never been that. Like, honestly, everybody that has joined Fusion from a DJ standpoint or has been a guest, man, like, we've really built. I mean, there are situations with youth that have lost their big brother or big sister to gun violence that I've become a big brother type figure to them, encouraging them to keep moving.
Did you ever think that radio would allow you to be so impactful to people?
I didn't initially, but I still feel like part of what I was going to be doing before radio is happening, as far as teaching and all that stuff, and as far as mentoring and all that stuff, like, it is happening within radio. So it's interesting that that's happening.
Understandable.
With radio, like, with radio and your microphone, what do you think you can contribute to the world and to communities?
Is opening up dialogue as far as conversations for people who maybe are in the dark, as far as, like, I recently had a guest on that was from Inglewood. He graduated from the urban prep school in Inglewood, and that's huge, man, because the graduation rate for them is so high, and the college opportunities, and connecting with him and allowing people that's outside of Chicago or even within Chicago, knowing that, man, that's a huge accomplishment that he did. You know what I mean? Graduating from an all-boys school, staying focused that whole way and everything. And that was the first time, that he did a radio interview. And here it is. He's really dope at basketball. I mean, I'm going to give it to you just the way he gave it to me is. His game is a combination of the late Kobe Bryant and Paul George. Oh. That's a dope combination.
Healthy Paul George too.
I mean, it better be the Indiana Paul, because he don't want the Clippers Paul. He don't want the Clippers Paul George.
I said a healthy Paul.
He don't want this Clipper Paul George. We don't want playoff P. We do not want playoff P. We want Indiana P. You hear me?
Now, we got to talk about radio programming. WGCI, they gave their philosophy on programming, and I actually want to play a clip from that, and then I want to take your philosophy on programming. So let's take a listen.
The radio station is the last place to get your record played. The last. Not the first, the last. And what I mean by that is we only want to play records that people want to hear. And the people that want to hear the record are the people that are fans of the artist that we're playing. So if you have created a record in the basement of your house or in a studio or somewhere, and it's just in your purse or in your pocket or in your computer, and there's no demand, no fans, no reason why I should play the record, why should I play your record on the number 3 hip-hop station in the country? Why? There's no reason. You don't have a fan base there. Nobody wants to hear your record.
They gave their philosophy on, if it's not really a big record, why should they play your record on a big station? So what's your philosophy on things, and what are some ways you feel we can definitely make things better?
I feel like that when you have the iHeart brand behind you, of course, that's a huge brand, and they don't want to take a chance that you flip over to another station because of something that's unrecognizable. Now, I will say that both stations in town, GCI and Power 92, do have things in place for artists. With Power, of course, is Shondale on Sundays. With GCI's Home Turf on Sunday nights at 11 o'clock. And so they do have things in place. I actually beg to differ. I feel like that, your platform is proof that, just from the love and support that you get, as far as doing it, that there absolutely are a hotbed of talent. I mean, I could start naming names that you've had down here, like Brittany Carter. You've had, of course, Esperado. I mean, you've had Asar. I mean, you've had so many people down here, Joel Q,
Man.
You know what I mean, that I could just keep going, that are artists that I feel like deserve the opportunity to be in rotation and everything. But, you know, I do understand from a corporate standpoint that there's a certain corporate model that not just GCI, but across the country, that's what you're up against.
Mm-hmm. Does it really hurt, though? I mean, like, I'm not in terrestrial radio. I have the advantage to have radio on the internet side, so I'm still learning about the programming. So hearing you say that, like, I can't help but ask, like, does it hurt to give a Joel Q and a SAR, a Brittany Carter a chance? Like, does it really? And when I say hurt, does it hurt the money? Does it hurt advertising to give them 2 minutes out of the whole 24 hours of the day? You know. So granted, you said they have these programs in place, but does it really hurt them? You know, to play these people music?
Well, the programming philosophy is, okay, you play a Joel Q. It could be hot, but it may be unrecognizable to the listener. So they hear Joel Q. Oh, what's that? They not playing, you know, whatever the hottest record is right now. Let me go over to you know, the competitor, and they're afraid that you'll find, in the case of, like, let's say you're a GCI loyal listener and you switch over to Power. They're afraid that you'll stay with Power and never come back to GCI.
Because you heard a Joel Q and not a little baby at the time.
Which, in my mind frame, is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, because I feel like when I hear something, not to cut you off, Jones, my bad. I feel like when I hear something unrecognizable on the radio, I'm damn near finna Shazam it. If it's good, I'm going to Shazam it. Like, who is this? Like, I want to hear more. So that's crazy to me. I'm sorry, Jones.
No, I was about to say, how many songs have you heard on the radio that you haven't heard? You know, that you became a fan of for the first time, like
outside of radio,
like songs you heard on radio for the first time was like, oh, this is a nice song. Who is this? You know what I mean? So I feel like even Atlanta doesn't seem like it takes that same process. It seems like it takes risk, and we follow.
Yeah, because when we was in Atlanta, I definitely heard,
because it seemed like we the only ones who don't have our own identity on the radio. You go to Cali, you hear their identity. You go to Atlanta, anywhere down south you go, you're going to hear Southern music being played from old school to new school, and even on the East Coast.
And that's why it's hard for me sometimes, because being someone that's been involved with radio, to sit back and say that you should hear like a Shy sound. But I'm going to tell you somebody that I'm sitting across from that provides that sound Monday through Friday on the FM dial from 12 noon until 1, and that's Biko.
Hey,
he provides that. So if you want the Shy sound, like, exclusively for a whole hour, and then of course Vocalogue does it, you know, throughout the day, mixed in with, you know, other dope music. So it is being done. I have to give you your props.
Hey, look, I appreciate you for, you know, taking heed and noticing. You know, when we talked and you told me that you cancel your Sirius XM to be tuned in. Damn,
you cancel Sirius for us?
Right. So,
right. Hey, that's raw. Hold on. Put that in the clip.
All right. So, like, check this out. So, the DJ friend that kicks off Fusion, DJ Malone, and everything, I started a free subscription just to hear Sway in the morning. Now, I was a satellite, you know, person before it merged, and I really liked the XM's, you know, side of it. And then one day it went from XM Raw 66 with Miss Kitty in the afternoons to Shade 45, and it was a really difficult adjustment. So, you know, I hadn't been with satellite radio for a while until last year, you know, and so I had the free subscription up until March, and I found myself, like, outside of that one time listening to Sway, all the programming that I wanted to hear, like, I had to be in bed, because y'all didn't heard I work 7 jobs. You know what I'm saying? I work 2 jobs 7 days a week and everything. And so, you know, my bedtime sometimes is, you know, sometimes 7 in the evening.
Hey, look, you gotta get the ball on it. You gotta be up at 3. You gotta be up at 3. Your bedtime gotta be early.
Right. So bottom line, you know, I found myself, I'm like, man, when March comes around of this year, I don't think I'm going to renew this, because I'm like, if I'm not listening to iLLANOiZE Radio, I'm listening to Biko, you know, during the week and everything, and then some of the other stations and what other people are doing. And I was just like, man, I can't imagine myself paying for this, and I'm not utilizing it at all.
If it's something like, I know you listen to Power 92 and WGCI a lot, if those terrestrial radio stations, if you could change anything about terrestrial radio here in Chicago, what would it be?
To have more of a Chicago sound. to more have like what you were talking about as far as a Chicago identity. I mean, I think back to, you know, when there were various people on the radio that, you know, we can go back, and I know I'm going way back. Some of y'all probably don't even remember this station because, you know, y'all young in the room. But we had this station called 106 Jams. Mm-hmm. And 106 Jams was what what is it, the R&B station is, Soul 106. It was like years ago, like 1996. Mm-hmm. And so there was I knew it.
I was fresh out the womb.
And so there was a guy that I got to give him props because he's no longer with us. I mean, he passed away years ago, is Pink House. And Pink House shift, you heard the Chicago, Pink House broke a lot of records like back in the day. And, you know, he's one that when you listen to his shift and even you listen to that station, there was influences of Chicago. But with mergers and all that stuff, mergers actually made that station where it was in the same family as GCI. And so they had to spin it off, and they sent it to Crawford Broadcasting. And for about a good, what was it, like close to 5 years, there was only one hip hop station. It was just GCI. And then Power 92 came around in 2001, and the person that actually programmed 106 programs Power, and that's Jay Allen, you know. And so I think like I would absolutely change that. I mean, I'm not saying this to just toot y'all horn, but it's like when you listen to the artists that you guys are breaking here, those artists deserve to be in rotation. I was thinking, okay, how would I do the playlist? Of course, you got to, you know, infuse in the hot songs. I would try to infuse in at least 2 to 3 artists from Chicago an hour. At minimum.
Yeah.
Minimum 2 to 3.
For sure. That's perfect.
That's reasonable. That's super reasonable.
You can change lives with that.
Yeah, literally.
Change lives and change the culture.
Sure, yeah.
You know, bringing energy to the city that's not here, and giving opportunities to artists that don't have them. Mm-hmm. And you put us, I think it makes the city look stronger. Yeah. With that type of setup and format, I think that's perfect. Right. You put us in the line to be the next market up with Atlanta.
Right, because I mean, when you hear people saying that, man, in other markets they're singing the lyrics to Cowboy or to Lil Durk or to these different people. LeBron listens to artists from Chicago. Mm-hmm. LeBron James.
And you don't hear half of the songs he listens to on the radio.
You want to know another advocate for? Well, I ain't gonna say advocate, but another person that strongly loves Chicago's culture, Charlemagne.
Yeah,
he talks about it in his books often. Love Chicago. So, yeah, Chicago is definitely at the forefront. I feel like how you feel if these big terrestrial stations were to at least give more artists opportunity, it would definitely shift and change the culture for the better.
I think it'll, not to cut you off either, but I think it will provide like more comfort for the artists too. Like they would trust the media outlets a bit more if they saw that their submissions and stuff actually meant something if it was played somewhere. So
yeah,
I feel like that's part of it too. Like it's like but I feel like artists don't necessarily support local media. That's why they're running outside the city because they don't see the love shown back. So I think it would help gain the support and the trust of local artists again if, you know, the terrestrial radio stations were doing that.
Well, the good news is we here. Brian Stinson is here. Fusion Radio is played every Sunday from 3 to 5 p.m. Definitely, man, I mean, let everybody know as well where they can tune, because you're not just on this station, my brother. You're syndicated throughout, so let people know how, you know, of course, they can get in tune with you, how they can submit music over to you, tune in, and, of course, give out your social media as well.
All right, so I started the social media. We'll do at Fusion Radio 08 on IG is the best way, man. And man, you guys can just DM me, man. I know they say sometimes people don't check their DMs, but I actually respond.
Yeah, that brother check his DMs.
I actually do respond back personally to everybody, you know, there. As far as Fusion, man, you know, Fusion is on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Chicago 77.3 app, which is a new station. On Saturdays, we're, you know, on the home base station that we've been there for 13 years. It made 13 years this year. Yeah, 13 years, man.
Damn,
Congratulations.
skin in the game. Okay.
13 years, man, from 3 to 5. And then, of course, I'm here. Now, I want to share with you guys something that is so, like, important for you guys to hear. Is how many people, when I posted them on iLLANOiZE Radio, really love what all of you guys are doing in this room. Like, how many people who they be like, can my first airing of my interview be on iLLANOiZE? I mean, I had one artist that was just like, man, bro, I'm going to send you the song. Can you break it on the Sunday show on iLLANOiZE, please? Like, literally.
That's dope.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's
Like, I wanted you guys to hear that personally.
Look, at the end of the day, I'm happy that, me and you, we've been in tune with each other, and, you was down to, syndicate Fusion Radio. I was a little nervous. I'm like, would Brian be down to do it? I hope he is. And, for you to say, let's do it, that made me feel so happy, because for you to offer, not offer, but for you to encourage me to get into radio, and then for things to turn into what it turned into, all from you, like, hey, bro, you should get into radio. You got the voice for it. And I laughed at you like, nigga, please. Nigga, you tweaking. but like, for things to work out, and for things to also work out in the realm of Fusion Radio, that's a big plus, my brother.
Man, I appreciate it, man. I definitely appreciate it.
Nigga, shut the thug tier.
$1 million voice. Matter of fact, we're going to call you the priceless dollar voice, because your voice is definitely priceless.
That was deep.
Priceless dollar
Yeah,
voice.
He tried to make it sound cool.
Yeah, but I'm gonna give it to him.
I knew what it meant. I knew where he was coming from.
Yeah, if Jones wouldn't have said nothing, I was gonna shut up. But he opened the door, so I had to walk through.
It was nice. I felt where you was coming from.
I definitely completely understand that.
I feel where you coming from, my brother. I told you.